Well, good day. Hello, everyone. Wayne Elliott here. So pleased to be back with you today for the Health and Wellness Show. We have our usual special guest, Dr. Michael Garko, with us, and we'll bring him on in a second. This show can be heard Thursday evenings. Every show can be heard Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Central Time on the Truth Be Told Radio Network. So thank you for joining in. I hope you are enjoying the shows and maybe picking up some information that you hadn't heard before. So today we're going to talk about kidneys and all of the many things that can go wrong with our kidneys, including, of course, that can be a source of the high blood pressure. It's either heart or kidneys. And I've heard different times that slightly more than half of the time, kidneys are the culprit. That was certainly the case with me years ago. And after this myocarditis that I'm just nicely getting over now after a couple of months, it appears that my kidneys were involved again because taking the Strauss kidney formula, my blood pressure is, and that's all I've done differently, really, in terms of my kidneys or blood pressure. I take the heart drops always, every day, Strauss heart drops. But I've taken the kidney formula for over 2 months now, and my blood pressure has come down gradually and nicely. I'm very happy about. So we're going to discuss kidneys and more things that can ail us with regards to our kidneys. And I'd like to welcome my old friend and special guest, Dr. Michael Garko. Dr. Garko,
Wayne,
how are we?
Wayne, nice to see you. Thank you for inviting me on. It's always great to be with you. Hope you're doing well. I know you're busy. You got. Yeah.
I'm like a one-arm paper hanger, Doc. I'm like a one-arm paper hanger. I was
I know
until about an hour ago, and now I'm on the radio with you.
Yeah. You got 8 pots. You got 8 pots in a 4-burner stove, Wayne.
You're not far from off, Doc. You're not far from off. But anyway, this really is my passion, and always my pleasure to be any part of trying to help folks with their health, our most important issue. The old saying, every day above ground's a good day. And if you don't believe that, try missing one. So, it's always a pleasure to, as I say, to be some part of hoping to help people and getting them information that can help them. So thanks for being with me today, Doc.
Of course.
Now, we're going to talk about kidneys and all the things, major organs, of course. And surprising, Doc, how much kidney trouble there is. These hospitals these days have like theaters full of folks on dialysis. And when they're done, the next group of folks moves in. And so it's quite a problem. And I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about that. I have some experience with friends that suffered through that. They're both gone now before their time, but and it really did affect their lives. Of course, Dr. Garko, 3 days a week on the dialysis, and generally not feeling well afterwards, and very difficult for these people to hold down a job or anything like that, and it's pretty much consumes them. And so we'll talk about that. So I'm going to kick it off to you, Doc, and
sure.
Give us some information about our kidneys and what goes wrong.
All right. So, Wayne, always important to put a little context to things. And I don't know, I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Can you hear that, or is that just on my end?
No, just on your end.
Okay. So renal diseases, kidney diseases. There are several of them, and we can order them by degree of severity. You have kidney stones, then you have what's called acute kidney injury, And then there's chronic kidney disease, which we're going to talk about today. And then end-stage renal disease. And that's where you have the dialysis going on, either that or a transplant. And end-stage renal disease it's all in the name, right? End stage. But chronic kidney disease. So I think we can't talk about all of those disorders. So I thought if we talked about chronic kidney disease and maybe a little bit about dialysis as it's related to end-stage renal disease, that would help us understand how important the kidneys are. It turns out that chronic kidney disease, called CKD, it's a condition where the kidneys are simply damaged, and they're so damaged that they can't filter blood as well as they're supposed to. And so what happens is you then have this excess fluid and waste from blood that remain in the body and may cause other health problems such as heart disease and stroke. So in terms of the epidemiology, more than 1 in 7 people, that's about 15% of people in the US are estimated to have chronic kidney disease. That's about 37 million people. And the health consequences of chronic kidney disease are, for example, anemia, increased occurrence of infections, low calcium, potassium levels, high phosphorus. Running high phosphorus levels is bad news. Phosphorus and calcium always have to be in line with one another. They have an inverse relationship. If your calcium is too low, the phosphorus is high. Phosphorus too high, the calcium is high, phosphorus is low. That creates all kind of havoc that I could spend a lot of time talking about. You have a low appetite. You eat less. People with chronic kidney disease tend to become malnourished. And then psychologically, people with CKD suffer from depression and a very poor quality of life. So chronic kidney disease is very serious, has serious consequences, and we need to take care. The point is, we need to take care of our kidneys. When the kidneys stop working, you alluded to this, dialysis or kidney transplant are the options for survival. Otherwise, you're going to die. And kidney failure treated with dialysis or kidney transplant is called end-stage renal disease. So that's just sort of a global understanding of these renal disease. Renal means kidney. And we'll focus a lot today on chronic kidney disease. There's kidney stones, as I told you, and acute kidney injury, but we can't talk about it all.
Yes. So really, Doc, when someone has to go on the dialysis as a steady diet, it's to do that. It's to filter the blood. It's to do the job that the kidneys are unable to do for themselves anymore. And I have a friend. She's gone now, passed away, but she actually had a kidney transplant after years of dialysis. And son of a gun, if they didn't give her too much of some kind of drug, I guess, and killed that kidney in her, she was back on the dialysis. And then on your point of not being able to fight infections and so forth, she was on immune suppressing drugs and got an infection that killed her, not in her kidney, an infection elsewhere in her body, and her body couldn't fight it with the antibiotics or anything else. So, and what, Doc, what are some of the causes? Injury is injury. I suppose we could have a car crash or something like that. And I remember my very last football game, I took a shot to the kidneys, one kidney, and bruised it apparently. There was blood in my urine for a little bit, and that isn't the only injury I sustained on that last play. But and the kidneys you hear in boxing, it's against the rules to kidney punch because you can drop the strongest man with a shot to the kidney. And so they're obviously, not only are they very important, but I take it they're a little sensitive. So how else do we do this kind of damage to our kidney? How else can we end up in bad shape or needing a transplant or dialysis? What takes us there other than injury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's important to understand
anatomically,
your kidneys are only about the size of a computer mouse. They're not that big. The size of a fist. So people think, oh, the kidneys are a big organ. They're not all that big. Diseases and conditions that cause chronic kidney disease are type 1 and type 2 diabetes. High blood pressure will cause kidney damage. Glomerular, which is the fancy term for inflammation of the kidneys, filtering units, which are the glomeruli, which are contained in nephrons. You have about 1 million nephrons in each kidney. The nephrons are these structures. They're really a miracle, and they're responsible for all the filtering. Just amazing how they work. Interstitial nephritis is another cause. It's an inflammation of the kidney tubules and surrounding structures, prolonged obstruction of the urinary tract, such as an enlarged prostate, kidney stones, and some cancers will cause obstruction. That will damage the kidney. Recurrent kidney infection called pyelonephritis will damage the kidney. So you can see there are any number of causes, and the kidneys are vulnerable. And we need to take care of them. So those, and of course, actually, like you alluded to, like football players or boxers will take a hit where the kidneys get bruised and damaged. That's one thing. But when you start to have chronic disease process or in the kidneys, that's a different story altogether, and that's when we start to really get in trouble.
Right. I suppose when we injure ourselves, like that time I bruised my kidney, your body can maybe heal that by itself. But you're saying some of these other, once you get to the point of disease, we're in real trouble.
There's the causes that I mentioned are real, and then there is risk factors. You can call them risk factors as well: diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, smoking, obesity. Being African American, being Native American or Asian American is a risk factor. Family history of kidney disease is a risk factor. Abnormal kidney structure, you're born with a congenital disorder. Aging, a risk factor. And frequent use of different medications can damage the kidneys as well. So you can see, man, there's a lot of different causes and risk factors here that make us vulnerable to kidney problems.
Right. Strauss always used to say that with the kidneys, we got music, with the kidneys, the bladder, and the prostate, men's prostate, that they're kind of stubborn to accept help. I had a doctor say this to me once many years ago, when I had a serious urinary tract infection, in fact, geez, I'm really sorry that I did this, but every few months they would put me back on antibiotics because I was passing some blood. And finally, a specialist said to me, your kidneys are very slow to accept help. help. So he said, instead of a 10-day prescription, I want you to take 1 pill a day for 5 months. And I did that, Doc, and he was right. That did look after it. Now, I sure regret taking all those antibiotics. I've never heard the stats on men, but I've heard that with women that have taken 4 or 5 courses of antibiotics in their life have an increased risk of breast cancer of some 400 to 500%. But Strauss always said that not only is it difficult for those parts of our body to accept help, so he'd say, don't skip a dose of these formulas if you can help it. Don't skip a dose. And that bacteria is apparently quite often the culprit with kidneys, bladder, prostate, and hence the golden seal root. That's one of the ingredients in those 3 formulas, Doc.
Yep.
So,
Wayne.
Mr.
Strauss was insightful about that. I mean, he was right. The kidneys are once you have kidney problems, it's really hard to correct. So he was right about that. And when you get into the world of dialysis, which is really a form of renal replacement therapy, the kidney's role of filtration of the blood with dialysis is supplemented by equipment, so to speak, to remove the excess water, the solids, and the toxins. And the dialysis is ensuring maintenance and homeostasis here. You're trying to keep those kidneys, you're trying to keep the body from becoming contaminated with toxins and solutes. The kidneys filter those out. We have different types of dialysis. I won't get into all of that, but you have hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis. The hemodialysis, they right into the peritoneal. They put through the stomach. They're running it through the stomach, and that is you have to sit there, and I could go on about that. It's really a challenge, as you alluded to. So the best approach here is to take a preventative approach if you don't have kidney issues, and do the kidney support drops. They're fabulous, well formulated, and they work. So you and I both know that. We're trying to educate people about how these formulas, the kidney support formula, helps the structure and function of the kidneys. So that's our story. We're going to stick to it.
Well, I know that, just shy of 30 years ago, Doc, when my MD told me that I had, my blood pressure was too high, I did take the kidney formula then for 3 months. And geez, until this myocarditis just a few months ago, I'm in my 70th year. So for most all of those 30 years, my blood pressure was 120/70. You could set your watch by it. And that I did take the kidney formula. So I took it again after getting myocarditis, and my blood pressure went way up. And again, I didn't take anything else for the blood pressure. So they've done a pretty nice job again on the blood pressure. Can you tell us, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, Doc, but it just hit me now. So how do we end up with bacteria, say, in our kidneys or our bladder? How does that happen?
Well, you have to think about the environment. It's an environment that you have urine there. It's an environment that invites the growth of bacteria. It's just the nature of it. That's why the kidney infections, the UTIs, it's an environment. It's a moist environment, the dark environment, and bacteria grow well there. It's just a nice place. You have bacteria in the urine. and the kidneys just, I don't know, just a good environment for bacteria generally to grow. So that's bacteria, and the bacteria affect the kidneys in a significant way with these infections. It can be very painful. And if you have too many infections, you begin to create scar tissue and damage the kidneys, and now you have an obstruction, and that leads to another issue. One thing leads to another to the next, and next thing you know, you got chronic kidney disease. So it is just a good environment for the bacteria to grow. That's generally that's a simple answer to what you said.
Yeah, and apparently, what Jim Strauss always says, it'll grow back quickly in those parts of our body. It must be a good environment for it to grow, I guess. And so he always stressed, do your best not to skip a dose and stay on top of it, and get rid of that bacteria. I guess, bacteria can cause a lot of trouble in our body, Doc, and they
well, sure. You have pathogenic bacteria in your colon. If you think about the waste products that we create, and we have to excrete from our body, and I don't want to get too graphic here, but you understand that bacteria, that world, our microbiome is made up of viruses, bacteria, and other microorganisms. And there's a constant war going on inside of our gastrointestinal tract between the pathogenic bacteria and viruses and the good bacteria. And it's that's why probiotics are good to take too. So I mean, one thing leads to another, both in a bad way and in a good way.
Yeah. When I went in the hospital that time many years ago, this had to be certainly more than 30 years ago. I think it was probably 40 years ago that time, with what they determined was an infection. When I was in the hospital, and I was waiting to see a urologist for a cystoscopy and so forth. They told me to drink all of the water and cranberry juice that I could manage. And apparently the cranberries are good. There's some type of acid. And Strauss later said to me, that's really the only time that you want to drink cranberry juice. It's too strong to make it your daily beverage, to drink it every day like something else you might drink. So I don't know what you think about that, but cranberries, they even taste powerful, don't they? They're so bitter and lovely on the turkey dinner, but he was saying that you don't make it your daily beverage, but absolutely, if you have kidney infection, they're a good thing to drink.
Yeah, he may have a good point about that. I never thought about it that way. Be candid, but I just want to make underscore this point. Anything that keeps you from emptying the urine out of your kidney tract, urinary tract, your kidneys, in other words, and generally the urinary tract, will allow bacteria to grow and back up in your kidney. It's just that kind of, it's moist, it's wet, it's perfect. They love it. So this is an issue, and you think about our relationship to these microorganisms. You have we're 3 or 4 pounds of bacteria, both good and bad, in your gut. So we're not pristine. You have a human being that bites another person. That other person can get seriously ill from a human bite because of what's in our mouth. Think about that for a second. So we're not some sort of hyper hygienic entity. We got things going on inside us that are, anything but hygienic.
I always thought this was kind of wild. They say a dog's mouth is cleaner than ours for bacteria. It must be the equipment they have, because they eat some awful stuff and lick some awful places. You wouldn't think that, but when I see people kissing their dogs, I think, oh boy, but that's interesting, isn't it? That, of course, dogs will eat. They can get into your garbage. They're almost like raccoons. They'll eat just about anything, old fish on the beach. And so they have some special system that allows them to do that, because I imagine it would make us very sick if we were eating such things that have to be full of bacteria, rotting fish and so forth.
Of course.
We
have a, it's interesting. We have a relationship with the planet on many different levels. Our relationship with food, our relationship with nature, but we also have a relationship with these microorganisms. And that's a fascinating area. So much has been written and talked about the microbiome now. Everybody's dialed into the microbiome. It's just fascinating how that all comes together, biology. But the kidney support drops, to go back to that, is a formula, and I've looked at it closely. And you look at all the different marshmallow root, Uva ursi, cayenne fruit, horsetail, golden seal that you alluded to earlier, gravel root, juniper root, goldenrod. Goldenrod is amazing. Nettle root, ginger. These herbals, these botanicals we've known for hundreds of years now. More in modern science, we've tested them with studies. They serve the kidney well. They're medicinal in nature. So the kidney support drops, I don't know. To try to get people to take something when there's nothing wrong is a hard thing to do. And they say, why should I take kidney support drops? There's nothing wrong with my kidneys. Well, exactly. And that's why we want to keep them that way. And this formula it's like servicing your kidney.
That's right.
If you don't want to do it every day, do it every other day. Or do a week on, week off. But at least do them, in my opinion.
I'm with you 100%, Doc. It's like I've said this many times. None of our equipment, our automobile, farm tractor, house furniture, air conditioner, would not work long if we didn't change or clean the filters and service it. Just the human body's amazing. I know it seems that, we could almost abuse ourselves for a very long time and still survive. But I'm with you. You don't wait for the problem, because the problems can be difficult, as you spoke about a few minutes ago, to deal with once something goes so far. I look at it as maintenance. It's also a nice way to help control weight for those who struggle with it. Taking the garbage out, taking the toxins out. I'm a firm believer in, and that clean tissues are perhaps the best thing we can have, as few toxins as possible in our bodies. I'm with you. This formula has helped me tremendously. It is again now. It isn't something that I've taken for 30 years. It did such a great job for me the first time. I think I've taken a bottle a couple of times since over those years. But then with this myocarditis and high blood pressure, I've been drinking it pretty good again. And excuse me, it's I've become and of course my relationship with you and the many things that I've learned, the maintenance is just so important to a lot easier to prevent a heart attack, Doc, than it is to get over one, right?
Absolutely. And look, kidney disease are a leading cause of death. As I mentioned earlier, about 37 million Americans are estimated to have chronic kidney disease. That, and most of them are undiagnosed. And then 40% of people with severely reduced kidney function, not on dialysis, are not aware that they have chronic kidney disease. And every 24 hours, listen to this, 360 people begin dialysis treatment for kidney failure. Every 24 hours, 360 people are starting dialysis. So those are epidemiological facts and underscore how vulnerable we are to kidney issues, kidney disorders, and diseases. So you got to take care. Please take care of your kidneys.
We don't always get. I was about to call it maybe a chink in the armor of creating us humans and nature creating that. We don't always get warnings, Doc. Sometimes someone has no idea they have heart issues and have a heart attack that ends them. So we don't always get the warnings. And that's why, I've become such a believer in maintenance, in taking, I take a lot of stuff that I never used to between herbal supplements and vitamins and minerals. I don't think there's ever been a more important point in time in history than now to do that with the genetically modified foods, the chemicals that are absolutely surrounding it. We're darn near swimming in them, including most city water, Doc, with chlorine in it. And
sure,
God forbid you're drinking chlorine. You know what it does when you jump in the swimming pool, dries your hair out, your skin, and so forth. But we just have so many chemicals now. All this produce that's shipped from the south up here to us in Canada and elsewhere, the preservatives, the chemical fertilizers. It just kills me, Doc. When we get a strong rain, I live in a farming community on the north shore of Lake Erie. And it's very upsetting when we get a lengthy, good, strong rain. The runoff from the farm fields is the color of Guinness beer. And oftentimes it has a head on it, foam on it. And I just, I think to myself, good Lord, it's running off the fields and into our fresh water. But we truly are surrounded by chemicals today. And we don't really have the equipment for them. Just another reason, I think, to look after your liver and kidneys. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we have these systems in our body that help to detoxify all of these chemicals that we consume and other elements. Your liver, your kidneys, your blood. These serve us well. But you make an interesting point. We take care of the filters, the filtering systems in our automobiles and our tractors and whatever, even airplanes, whatever. We got filters. Your body has filters, and your liver and your kidneys are two important filtering systems to detox your body. Again, it's very difficult to persuade people, Wayne, when they don't have an issue like with their kidneys, to say, well, you need to be servicing your kidneys and making sure the structure and function is okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with them. Well, that's a good thing. Let's keep it that way. So, think about this. They work hard. Every 30 minutes, your kidneys filter all the blood in your body. Every 30 minutes. That's truly astonishing. And early chronic kidney disease, to your point, early signs and symptoms don't exist in early chronic kidney disease. Once you're diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, it had been in play for a while and you didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, prevention is the key.
Yeah, for sure. It's a process, indeed. All these toxins we take, and it is something we all know to change the filters in our car and the furnace, at least from time to time, that's for sure. Or they'd stop running. And, I would, when I was going around mostly the province of Ontario doing health talks and lectures, Doc, I would say that the only side effect one should expect from these cleansing formulas is from time to time using the bathroom, the restroom more often, one way or the other. And that's how we get rid of our poisons. And you can have loose bowels sometimes. It'll be like diarrhea. And a lot of people are kind of freaked out by diarrhea. I figure it's my body trying to get rid of something. It never bothers me. I mean, if you have it for a month, there might be a problem.
Well, it can be dangerous because you can get dehydrated.
Sure, absolutely. But, I would say to some of the ladies who'd say, well, I certainly don't want any loose bowels or diarrhea. And I used to say all the time, how long would you want to stay in the kitchen if you never took the garbage out? It'd be a horrible place to be if you never took the trash out.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're talking about here, Doc, is we have the parts to get rid of our toxins and waste, but it turns out that oftentimes our bodies need a hand because of the things that there were no man-made chemicals when humans were created. There just weren't any. So we don't have the equipment for them,
Yeah. And I'm going to need to leave you in a couple of minutes because I have another show to do, but I wanted to leave this with the audience today. There are some tips and things that you can do to help support your kidneys. Hydration. Please make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the day. If you can drink 8-ounce glasses a day, that would be great. A good diet, a balanced diet with fruits, vegetables, a plant-based diet, less red meat and processed meat. Reduce your sodium intake. Excess sodium raises blood pressure and puts a strain on the kidneys. The herbal formulation from Strauss, the kidney support drops, 100% should be on the list. Watch your alcohol and caffeine intake. The kidneys take a big hit, and you become dehydrated too with too much alcohol, and the kidneys get strained with too much alcohol and caffeine. Maintain body weight. Obesity and being overweight increases the risk of kidney disease. A lot of people don't realize that. And exercise regularly. Just generally, not only for your kidneys, but generally. But if people say, well, there's one thing I can do, what would that be? And I would say that one thing, you're only going to do one thing. Take the Strauss kidney formula and at least do that. So I have to leave you because I got another show to do, Wayne, and I apologize, but I got to go.
You're a busy man these days. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll take it from here for the last few minutes. We'll miss you, but we'll see you the next time.
All right, I'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care, Doc. Dr. Michael Garko with us, a regular guest, and always a pleasure to have Dr. Garko. He's perhaps the most learned man when it comes to health and nutrition that I have ever met over these 30 years of being a natural health advocate since I got fixed, since I got helped. Want to mention, folks, if you want more information, you can go online to www.straussnaturals.com. Strauss is spelled Strauss, naturals with an S, straussnaturals.com. There's a toll-free number if you'd like to speak to one of the great ladies out there that will take your calls. And that's at 1-866-478-2873. That's 1-866-478-2873. And if you go online and choose to order a Strauss product, please use the coupon code TRUTH, TRUTH, just like the radio network, Truth Be Told Radio Network. Well, the coupon code is TRUTH, and you'll automatically get a 10% savings on anything that you order from the Strauss website. Money is tight today. Inflation's eating everybody alive. So hopefully you'll remember that and get yourself a discount. And you can learn information about all of the products. You'll see the information on the website, Naturals.com, STRAUSS, naturals.com. Coupon code TRUTH for 10% savings. And once again, the phone number 1-866-478-2873. That's a toll-free number. And the ladies, wonderful ladies there, Lindy and Judy and Krista, they will be happy to help you. And you just may find it interesting. You can see the ingredients in every formula. Wonderful formula that Strauss has brought back after many years. I'm so happy they did. It's called Women's Wonder. It's a liquid formula. All the Strauss formulas are liquid. They get to work faster. They're easy to digest. The Women's Wonder is for young ladies and ladies that still suffer the difficulties during the menstrual cycle, cramps, pains, discomfort. Some suffer worse than others. Of course, you have to go through the menstrual period. That's a natural thing. But you don't need to suffer the cramps and all the discomfort. I know some ladies have it really bad. It's like an illness, it's debilitating. This formula in the past has been amazing. I know that from some of our own office staff years ago. And there have been people that took it once and didn't suffer the same way again. But they say to take it 3 days before your cycle is supposed to start. And then judge for yourself, folks. Every Strauss product, every single one is a satisfaction guaranteed. I love the Strauss family for that if you are dissatisfied for any reason, you don't have to say why. If you're not satisfied, if you didn't get what you wanted out of any formula, you get your money back 100%. The Strauss family has always just refused to have a dissatisfied customer. So you can't be cheated for your money. There have been no complaints to Health Canada, the EPA in the United States, or the Strauss Company of any harm or serious side effects ever from the 100% natural Strauss products. They are 100% natural. They're all made from herbs, from botanicals. I guess that's why the creator put some of these botanicals here, is for our medicines and for our health, obviously. And it's just so important. I so much believe in maintenance, folks, just from what I've seen and experienced in 30 years myself. Not to say you can't come back from an ailment. I mean, I've seen amazing things with heart patients. My mom and dad, myself, I had clogged arteries. I had all the angina symptoms 30 years ago. Then I developed irregular heartbeat. That was terrible because I felt every race beat. I had supraventricular tachycardia, it was called. And boy, it was 24/7. It never stopped. And I took the Strauss cardio support formula. And in 3 months, I no longer had the arrhythmia. And so grateful for that. And now, don't you know, I got arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat back when I got this myocarditis. And it's after almost 3 months taking the cardio support now. It's almost regular heartbeat all the time now. I still do, I have to admit, it's still not 100%. It also doesn't take off and go. When I was at my worst there a couple of months ago, my heart would go as high as 200 beats a minute, and which is just fluttering. And I was struggling to breathe because I don't really think it was pumping. It was fluttering, like a pump starved for water or a liquid that is supposed to be pumping. So just a great formula. Those 3 formulas are incredible. The kidney support, the Strauss heart drops, the world famous Strauss heart drops. They're just wonderful. I mean, I had clogged arteries. I had a real cholesterol issue, and it was I brought it on myself. Not that it did run in our family, heart disease, heart attacks, but I sure contributed to it with the dairy, just ridiculous, outrageous amounts of milk and milkshakes. And I mean ridiculous. I had a Dairy Queen business and I pretty much lived on milkshakes, my favorite food. So not surprising, my heart attack was when I was 35 years old. And so grateful that I came back from that, and I survived 6 or 7 years until I found Strauss, or they found me. Luckiest day of my life. I've had no trouble since. I was so surprised when I started to take the Strauss heart drops that the first thing that happened, good thing that happened to me, after 2 weeks, the hearing returned to my left ear. And I just couldn't believe. It was hard for me to believe. I didn't think it was cholesterol that had caused me to lose the hearing. I could still hear noise, but I could never make out what you were saying, especially if there was any other noise going on at the same time. I would never make out what you were saying or what somebody was saying to me on the phone. Now I can use either ear, use the telephone. So that, the heart drops really, they were made to ensure that blood flows everywhere. We have an artery, vessel, or vein, right down to the tiny capillaries, tiny vessels that are so small you can't even see them. We have 50,000 kilometers of vessels in our bodies. That's hard to believe as well, but it's true. Twice around the earth in each one of us. And so it is the most important body function. Why is there that many miles and miles of blood vessels? Is because every single cell, every cell, our hair on the top of our head to our toenails, every single cell in between needs blood. It's life, it's energy. So it's the most important. And heart disease and stroke is still our leading killer. According to Western medicine anyway, there are many who believe doctor prescribed drugs are our leading cause of death. Whichever it is, I'm grateful I don't take any medications, just natural, these herbal formulas and vitamins and minerals. Been very lucky to maintain good health. This myocarditis caught me off guard, I must tell you. That was something. I got COVID first a few months ago, and then this inflammation of the heart. Inflammation is a dangerous thing to us. It really is. And the myocarditis was inflammation of the heart, but inflammation is no good for us anywhere. So one of the supplements that I've been taking for years now is the turmeric curcumin. I take a brand, I'm trying to think of what it's called now. It's got curcumin in the name. And that is to help us with inflammation. And I'll never stop taking that, just like my heart drops. I think it's an important, and my vitamin C, vitamin D3, full spectrum minerals. Our soil's depleted now, has been for a long time. We were supposed to leave our fields. I forget if it was every 5 or 7 years, our fields that we grow crops, to let them lay in fallow, let them lay for a year without growing in them so they could revitalize themselves. And that at some point was not fashionable any longer. And I suppose it probably had to do with finance. So our soil is depleted, doesn't have the minerals and humates in it that nature intended and originally put there. And that's one of the reasons it's so important for us to supplement today with, I believe, with full spectrum minerals. And I take a vitamin B compound, I take vitamin C, I take vitamin D3, take vitamin K, and those full spectrum minerals. That if I don't take those, just like my mother did, I'll get cramps in my feet and legs, and every day if I don't take those. So, it's just proof for me that I need them. And there's never been a more important time. Things to watch out for, folks, and it's well known, but it's easy not to pay attention to. Some of these foods, like the fast foods, are so tasty. About 10 years ago, Health Canada came out and said that there is more sodium, more table salt in a 1/4 pound burger patty at they did name the company. I'm not going to, but call it the most popular company for fast food in North America, maybe the world, that there was more sodium in one small patty than humans could tolerate in a day. I think back to the days where in the United States, when I was going to school in Miami playing ball, and God, we'd eat a dozen or more of those little cheeseburgers at Royal Castle or White Castle. And as I say, salt and sugar are very tasty. Many of us are actually addicted to salt and to refined sugar. They unfortunately, nature made them taste good, or we've made them taste good. And, most of us get too much of both. Most any baked good, breads and all the nice desserts and cookies and cakes and pies, all these things that come out of the oven, refined carbohydrates. It is said the biggest cause of diabetes, of course, is the blood sugar is from these foods. And the one thing that I do take for sugar, because I have a sweet tooth too, I really like some of that stuff. And if I'm going to have any, or I'm going to have any quantity of bread at all, I take a green coffee bean extract. And it supposedly surrounds sugar in our blood and carries it out of us. So I did a trial with my mother years ago because she tested her blood every day. She had diabetes type 2. And there's no question that it worked. And I was lucky that my mom was there to prove this. So I've done it ever since. If you want to do that, you just take one capsule before meals. There are different manufacturers that make the green coffee bean extract. I just want to mention that because it's one way to help you lose weight as well. And taking any of these cleansing formulas is a way to lose the most important weight, the poisons, the toxins, the things that can kill us. And anyone that wants to go on a serious weight loss program to lose a lot of weight, it is just so important to consider either before or during your weight loss program that you take some cleansing formulas. What you don't want is for a bigger percentage of your mass, your total body weight, you don't want it to be a bigger percentage of toxins and poisons. That can harm you and that can kill you. So I really urge you to detox and use cleansing formulas if you were to set out to lose 40, 50, 100 pounds. It's very, very important. And it's the easiest weight to lose because you don't have to run or you don't do anything else but take the cleansing formula that will help you get rid of the toxins and poisons because they weigh something too. Everything weighs. It's said the average human has 30 pounds of toxins and waste in them. So, please think to do that. It's money very well spent. And if you were 300 pounds and you had 30 pounds of toxins in you, chances are you would have more. But for argument numbers sake, let's say you had 30 pounds and you lose 100 pounds without detoxing or cleansing, your body mass just went from 10% waste and toxins to 15. Very dangerous. We probably all know someone who lost a great deal of weight, didn't look good, oftentimes uneven color, red and blotchy color, and oftentimes they'll get very sick and can die. So got to get the garbage out, folks. That's really the message of the day. You wouldn't stay in the kitchen if you didn't take the garbage out. Your body's the same way. When we were created, there were no man-made chemicals, none. We made them. There were no genetically modified foods, man-made foods. It was only natural foods that had all the enzymes and all the vitamins and things that we need in them. Nature had everything perfect. Man, unfortunately, is not perfect. I mean, looks like an orange, tastes like an orange. Well, it's a man-made orange. Looks like a banana, tastes like a banana. It's a man-made banana, genetically modified. Anything seedless is genetically modified. It takes a seed to reproduce anything, everything, every animal, every plant. And so these seedless fruits that cannot reproduce themselves have weaker immune systems. We eat them, and unfortunately our immune systems can be weakened. So these are a lot of things to, in this day of modern science, where we have more technology than we've ever had before, there's never been a time to pay more attention to our health, pay more attention to what we're eating. Take some supplements because you're not getting what nature intended you to have otherwise, and really consider cleansing your organs and tissues. It's just a good thing to do. It's preventative maintenance like you do on your car, your tractor, your furnace, or any other piece of equipment that you have. Well, folks, we've come to the end of another show, and I thank you very much for being with me today. Our shows air Thursday nights on the Truth Be Told Radio Network at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you have a chance to listen in and tell your loved ones or friends about it. They may be interested. And I hope you've got something of interest, something that can help you again today. So once again, that's on the Truth Be Told Radio Network, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. StraussNaturals.com if you want to order or more information, STRAUSS Naturals.com. Coupon code TRUTH for 10% savings, please. Make sure you get those savings. And toll-free telephone number 1-866-478-2873. Thank you once again, and thank you for being with me. Please stay well. Be conscious of your health. And until next time, may God bless.